What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Tap. I am stoked. It is football. We have football today.
Tonight, actually, you guys, unless you're on the West Coast, those
Yes.
8:30 games. We're looking at an early evening football matchup between the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. Hope you guys caught that Thursday night breakdown because this is going to be a hell of a season intro. I'm
Oh my.
excited.
Yes, I am very, very excited as well. It's going to be a great game. Hopefully, the Buccaneers don't blow out the Cowboys. But if they do, I just want an entertaining game at the end of the day. But we've got our week one must starts, our sit-ems or our sits, as well as our streams of the week. But guys, before we jump into that, please do us a favor. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video. We truly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to join our Discord. It's a growing group of great people. You'll be able to ask your start sit questions and pretty much just talk fantasy football all day, as much as your heart desires. So don't forget to join that. That link is in the description below. Am I missing anything, John? I think that's it.
No, you forgot about the great people in there. There's a lot of great, fun people that you can meet.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yep.
I love it.
But anyways, without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's start with the must starts of the week. John, do you want to go first, sir?
I'll go first.
All right, let's hear it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So I'm going to be starting this off nice. Gonna be bringing it in nice and clean. I'm going with my guy Ryan Tannehill to start off the season. I think that he's going to be an absolute monster going against the Cardinals in week one. Last season, remember the Cardinals defense was a gold mine for fantasy points in almost every position, especially those tight ends.
Yeah. You know how John likes his tight ends.
They added J.J. Watt in this offseason. Their defense might be a little bit better, but I am really liking the fact that Ryan Tannehill is going to be going in there with A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, and I think that we're going to see a really revamped, more powerful Tennessee Titans offense. Yes. And I think Ryan Tannehill is going to be a great start week one for you. So make sure that if you drafted him and you might not be feeling comfortable, put him in, feel comfortable. Let me know how it goes.
I love that pick. Honestly, I was torn between him and my quarterback. I have Ryan Tannehill in multiple leagues, so I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. Neither defense is that great, so really love that. And then it's I can't think of words. It's going to be Julio Jones' first game, so really excited for that. With the Titans, showcase. There we go. That's a good word. But anyways, my quarterback start of the week is a guy I've been hating on all off season. All right. So don't get it confused. I still don't like this guy for the season. However, he's got a perfect matchup. And that's Jalen Hurts going against the Atlanta Falcons. They're playing in the dome in Atlanta, which is nice. But Atlanta allowed the 9th most rushing yards to the quarterback last year. Also, the 2nd most fantasy points last year to the quarterback. I think it's a perfect matchup for Jalen Hurts. I think he gets it done with his legs. He gets in the end zone with his legs and racks up a nice, a solid quarterback one finish this week against that poor and porous Falcons defense.
Yeah, I don't think the defense in Atlanta is going to be looking much different than what we saw last season. So I think that's going to be a great game. I'm definitely going to be targeting the Falcons again this year. Now I'm going to be bringing it back to 2020 for my next must start. At my running back position, I'm bringing you guys the man, the myth, the legend that almost didn't happen for the second time, James Robinson, going up against the Houston Texans. Clap that up. This is going to be Trevor Lawrence's first game in the NFL as a starter in the regular season. Houston Texans are not a team that you're going to be expecting to be winning a lot of football games, and I don't think the Jags are either. I actually think this is going to be a very close game, but I do think it's going to be a very slow game. I think that in any case, the James Robinson's going to see a lot of work in the early part of the game going up against Houston in the pass catching game, as well as getting the ball on the ground. And then towards the end of the game, if Jacksonville's holding that lead, I do see a situation where they're just trying to get the clock to end, and James Robinson's just going to live on garbage time carries. So even if that's not the case, then he's still going to be thriving in a high-powered offense trying to win a game against that. This is the garbage game of the week.
Yes, yes, it is. That is
fantasy stats love to come from them.
That they do. And you know what? It's funny you brought him up because a little preview into our props and picks episode coming up tomorrow, I believe. I have James Robinson over 65.5 rushing yards. It's one of my bets on place. And so I like that pick, John. And I agree with you. Garbage time. I think the Jags are going to take the lead and let James Robinson run the ball. So my running back, Raheem Mostert, baby, going up against the Detroit Lions. That's pretty much all I got to say. Next question. No. The Detroit Lions defense equals bad, okay? Literally the only stat they didn't finish, the fantasy stat they didn't finish in the bottom 5 was for the running back was targets and receptions to the running back. And then also they gave up the most fantasy points to the running back last year as well. So pretty bad team against the running back fantasy wise. Love this matchup for him. I think that offense is going to run through him. Another game where I think that the score could kind of get out of hand. And at the end of the day, run the clock down, get out of there with the win. That could be to Raheem Mostert's benefit. Also, might be a time to, if you're bold, maybe throw Trey Sermon in at flex if you are desperate for a flex. But right now, obviously, my must start is Raheem the Dream Mostert.
Okay. I think you're just kind of picking on the Lions there.
Well, I can tell you I am because my next guy is a 49er as well.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. I get you there. Now I'm gonna go over to my receiver. I've got Cooper Kupp for you guys.
Ooh.
Now, yes. The Cup.
The Cup.
The main reason there, Matt Stafford, obviously an amazing quarterback, should be seeing an upgrade from Jared Goff last season. The Bears, cornerbacks, and secondary have 2 people. And outside of that, there is a non-existent backfield. Outside of Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson, you have nobody. I do think that Jalen Johnson, someone that's more than likely going to be seeing a lot of Robert Woods shadowing in that slot, as he does play that left corner. But I do think that leaves Cooper Kupp out wide and open for a majority of the game. Definitely a situation where you can probably expect to see 10 to 15 targets in this week, as I do think the Rams put up an exceptional show against the Bears, as Andy Dalton's getting ready to lose that job, and it's going to be on the back of Cooper Kupp.
I could totally see that. I like Cooper Kupp. I like that entire offense. Love Matt Stafford. Love all of them. I mean, I really do. Even against that defense, I think the Rams are going to show out this week. So I do like that pick. Like I said, my wide receiver, he is another 49er, and that is Brandon Ayuk. Again, Detroit Lions defense equals bad. They allowed the 3rd most yards to the wide receiver last year, as well as the 3rd most fantasy points. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I love Ayuk this week. I like Ayuk on the season in general. And I think this is a game where he shines, and people who draft him are going to be extremely happy.
Good. I've got him in a lot of leagues, so I'm expected to be really happy with him by the end of the season. I like him with Trey Lance. I like him with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's going to be that team's number 1 target, and I definitely think you see it this week against a very bad defense. They definitely has the opportunity to break away for those big passes. Now, I'm going to give the Lions a little bit of respect, Mike. My tight end start of the week is actually going to be TJ Hawkinson. And this isn't because Jared Goff's this amazing quarterback and he's going to be lighting up the show. It's mainly the fact that they really don't have anyone else. And the established role that TJ even has in that offense last season, going for over 105 targets, this season could be approaching that 120 mark if he stays healthy. Now, I do think that this is another great matchup for him. Obviously, he's a monster. He's an absolute monster. He's going to be going against the 49ers. That entire defense is pretty scary and stout. But that's going to give Jared Goff the reason to just dump the ball off 8 yards down the field to TJ Hawkinson. Let him take it for 5 more yards. Do that 10 times. We've got a 120-yard game, 10 catches. Love it.
There we go.
And he's realistically the only, with DeAndre Swift out, DeAndre Swift banged up, Jamal Williams going to be in that duo. No other receiving options. The only real red zone target on that team, especially this week, being that we don't know what the receivers are going to be like, is going to be TJ. So I do see a large touchdown upside with him this week.
Yeah, and like you mentioned garbage time earlier. There's garbage time for losing teams as well. They've got to try to put points on the board. So this could be a game where that happens. My tight end, my final pick, tight end, Logan Thomas going up against the LA Chargers. I love this game for them. Obviously we heard today or yesterday that Curtis Samuel is banged up. I don't know if you guys saw the video or not. We did retweet it, but he was running a route in practice, pulled up. He's been dealing with that groin injury. And they're saying he still has a chance to play. Even if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. So there goes one target that Logan Thomas doesn't have to worry about. Now, yes, De'Ami Brown, Adam Humphries could, come in and step up. But even if they do, I think that we see Fitzmagic, I apologize, heavily target Logan Thomas and Terry McLaurin in this game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, even with that dominant Washington football team's defense. I think the Chargers are a good enough offense to where they can put up points as well. So I think it's going to be a shootout. I love Logan Thomas this week. Top 5 tight end this week.
Oh, I like that.
Yep.
I like that a lot.
Dope.
Yeah. So let's move over to our must-sit players. These are guys that are can severely underperform, possibly lose your week, not going to be putting up stats. And I'm going to start off the quarterback really fast. I'm actually going to tell you guys that if you have another option, obviously this is going to be a high-end guy. So if you draft him, he may be the only quarterback on your team. I'm going to say sit Russell Wilson up against the Colts week 1.
Wow.
Yes. Last season, the Colts only allowed 16.5 fantasy points to the quarterback. They have an amazing defense. It is extremely underrated. They are stacked at the corner, they are stacked in the safety, and they are stacked in the linebacker categories. With that pass rush against a very not upgraded Seahawks offensive line this season, I think that they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson. It's going to force him out of the pocket, and we're going to be seeing what we saw at the end of 2020 last season. I do not think we're going to have the let Russ cook week 1 game that we're all looking forward to. I do think Russell Wilson's going to have a lot of big games this year, but I do think that this way that the Seahawks win this is by keeping it a low scoring game, by running out the clock, and by keeping it a casual game. The Colts as well, a run heavy team that likes to play the clock. I just don't think Russ is going to cook for you guys.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I'm not even gonna lie. I hope you're wrong. I'm starting Russ over Dak Prescott this week. So it's a hard decision.
I'll be honest with you. If that game wasn't the Thursday night game, it would have been Dak.
Oh, there we go. And real quick, I just want to say this, John. I can't believe we're already talking games, man. I just got butterflies hearing you talk about the game, stuff like that. Oh, man, it's football. It's week 1, baby. I love it. My quarterback sit of the week is going to be Baker Mayfield. Now, I know he's not, highly drafted quarterback. However, there are teams who did grab him as one of their late round flyers. Maybe they went quarterback late. Unfortunately, this week, I don't think Baker's going to get it done. The Chiefs were middle of the pack against the quarterback last year as far as fantasy points go. But overall, I think this game is going to be a lot lower scoring than people think. The over-under for the game is 54.5 points. I think it hits the under. At the end of the day, the Browns have a solid defense, and they've got a stout running game. That's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands and run the ball and keep him off the field. And unfortunately, I don't think that bodes well for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I'm not hot on Baker at all this season anyway, so I would have to highly agree with you there. I think, and again, I think the fact that the Cleveland Browns do have such a strong run game again, the way you beat these high scoring offenses is slowing down the ball game and not allowing these quarterbacks to throw for 350 yards, 400 yards on you because your offense can't keep up.
Yep.
So for that to happen, Baker's going to play it slow. My running back, which I don't know if this is the hottest take or not, but I'm going to tell everyone is sit Josh Jacobs week 1.
I think it is. I do think that this is, I mean, his ADP started to climb there at the end.
Did.
I mean, I saw him going in the 3rd round, so I can see it.
It's because he was being slept on in drafts, but I just think right now he's going to be going up against the Baltimore Ravens, which obviously last season were one of the best defenses in the league. Last year, they only allowed running backs. They only allowed running backs to average 1,400 yards in the season. That's under 100 yards in a game. Josh Jacobs, someone that's already banged up, hasn't been at practice Tuesday, not going to be there on Wednesday, and it's possibly expected to show up at practice on Thursday, meaning that he hasn't gotten a single rep this entire week going into game prep. And Kenyon Drake is usable. If Josh Jacobs is banged up in any sort of way, they're just going to 50-50 it, committee completely, and you're just not going to be getting anything from him. And then his name value alone just makes you assume that you need to put him in there. And last season, you saw it a lot. Josh Jacobs is a boomer bust running back. He's either going to give you the great game or he's going to get you 1.7 points because he got 17 yards.
Okay. All right. I can see it. I think it's going to be tough sledding for him. Honestly, I think it's going to be tough sledding for most of that offense, except for Darren Waller this year. So, I'm going to keep beating up the Lions. DeAndre Swift is my running back sit of the week. He's been dealing with a groin injury for the majority of training camp. He's missed all of preseason. Week 1 has been in question for a while now. He was just declared or talked about, that he's going to be playing in week 1, as long as there's no setbacks. So I think that he's going to be on a limited snap count. There's no reason for Dan Campbell and the Lions offense to rush him back with the 17 games. Also, you're going up against the 49ers defense, stout and healthy. Not looking good for the Lions offense there. And then, of course, you've got the capable running back and backup behind him in Jamal Williams, who we know is a competent running back. We saw in Green Bay. So DeAndre Swift, I'm sorry, I'm sitting you on the bench this week.
Ooh.
Yep, rough. I know, and a lot of people drafted him to be their running back too,
I think there was a point in the offseason before any injuries where in my mind he would have been a very solid low-end RB1.
There were times.
There was a couple weeks, but then these injuries started coming up and I was in denial for a while, but
crocodile.
Then Jamal Williams pops up and that's been my go-to. Now I'm going to go back to the Seahawks for my receiver. I'm going to hate on someone I've been hating on for a while.
Do it.
Tyler Lockett.
Do it.
No, make sure you're definitely sitting Tyler Lockett going into this game. As I mentioned before, I do not think that Russell Wilson has one of the most spectacular games. We're not looking at first 6 weeks of last season Russell Wilson. Going up against the Colts defense, again, a team that's going to play the ball slow. And with the cornerbacks that they have there, I love the Colts secondary. It's one of my favorite secondaries in the leagues. I think Rock Ya-Sin's an extremely young, talented, very versatile cornerback that's going to shut down Tyler Lockett. I think the only player that's going to have a decent game out of Seattle next week or this week. Oh, wow. This week. It's football week. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's like until after the Thursday night game, it's just going to feel fake.
See, even then, for me, it feels fake for a couple days.
I don't know. I'm hoping. But no, so I think the only player that you're going to be able to play out of Seattle this week is going to be DK Metcalf and Chris Carson. They're players. I do think that Chris Carson sees enough touches and gets enough work out of the backfield to be at least a running back 2 this week. And I think DK Metcalf, for his high draft capital, finishes okay. I don't even think he has an amazing game. Someone's going to be getting some touchdowns, and I think it's going to be DK. I think Tyler Lockett gets shut down to less than 50 yards and 3 catches.
Wow. Well, if you've been listening to the Fantasy Tap, you wouldn't have drafted him anyway, and you wouldn't be in this predicament. But if you haven't, or if you have him, there you go. Sit him. And here we go. I'm going to beat up on the Lions, but this guy's not actually a Lion anymore. He is a previous Lion, so I guess it's not the same technically. But Kenny Golladay, I'm sorry, I'm sitting you this week. You're going up against the Denver Broncos defense. The secondary is arguably the best in the league, and they just added more depth with Patrick Surtain. He's also been banged up for a lot of camp, and it's just this does not equal a strong start for Kenny Golladay. Also, Daniel Jones, I don't have the highest confidence in him.
You don't have any confidence in Danny Dimes?
No, I don't. No.
It's okay. No, I don't either.
I have more confidence in Bugs being behind me, being a starting quarterback in the NFL. We've seen him play basketball.
Not that one, though.
Huh?
Not that one. He's not getting up and taking a tackle.
No, not that one. That one's a dog toy. Actually, I jacked for my dog. Pretty dope. But anyways, so I think it's going to be rough sledding for the Giants offense entirely this week up against that Denver defense. So Kenny Golladay, you are sitting on my bench if I have you.
It's rude, honestly.
It is, but oh well. It's tough love.
This man used to be your love child.
He used to be, but not anymore.
Until the end of the season, I'm just going to have to keep bringing that up. No offense to you.
Yeah, I know. No, it's fine. Watch him finish his wide receiver 2 this year.
You know what? That would be even better.
That would not be better. That would be horrible. All right, let's go. All
right. So my tight end sit of the week for you guys is actually going to be Robert Tonyan. Obviously everyone's expecting Aaron Rodgers to come back in on his FU tour round 2 and throw for 550 touchdowns this season. And Robert Tonyan's going to catch 13 of them. Well, it's not happening. Aaron Rodgers will see that regression in touchdowns. They are going up against the New Orleans Saints, and I don't think that they're going to be in a situation where Robert Tonyan is going to be the one catching the ball. He's not going to be getting the touchdowns this week. You're going to be seeing situations with Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and even A.J. Dillon taking over those red zone touches. Robert Tonyan's going to be a complete bust. And I don't know what else to say because it's written on the wall behind me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be one I disagree on. Honestly, I think that he's going to be fine this week. I don't think he's going to be stellar. And I think there's a decent probability that he gets in the end zone. If I have him, I'm not going to sit him, but I don't like him for the year for sure. But I wouldn't mind him this week. But one guy I do mind this week, and I'm jumping on the train with you, John, as far as Seattle goes, Gerald Everett. Going up against that Indianapolis defense, they gave up the 3rd least fantasy points to the tight end last year. Like you said, they're stout everywhere, linebacker especially. And I just don't see Gerald Everett having a good day. So good day to you, sir. Have a seat.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Everett?
I know.
Yeah.
Gerald Everett.
Wow. I can't imagine anyone ever saying not to start him. Realistically, he's someone that could be a special guy this year.
People were so hyped on him coming into the draft.
Really?
Yes. Everywhere I turned, I read about it, saw about it. And I know it's kind of like, maybe it's kind of like a cherry pick, but I really have. Leading up, especially getting closer and closer to the season, it's been like Gerald Everett is going to ball. And I just don't see it. I don't see that he's going to. Maybe it's just because of the situation. And
I agree.
But it's everywhere.
I was rostering Will Dissly up until like 2 days ago in a dynasty league, so it lets you know how much confidence I had in Everett coming in personally. But yeah, I think as far as tight ends go, it's hard to say to sit someone you drafted if you only drafted one tight end.
Yes.
And the real situation comes down to whether or not you should stream someone over your situation. And to be honest, and I'm going to jump right into our streamers. I actually think that Dan Arnold this week would be a better play. Hot take. I think Dan Arnold has a better finish this week than Robert Tonyan.
Okay. All right. That's bold. That's awesome.
Coming into Carolina, we're going to see Dan Arnold have not a extremely fantasy tight end situation, but he is going to find his worth there. This man is going to be someone that can get about 3 to 5 targets a game and has red zone upside. Christian McCaffrey is going to be seeing a bulk amount of the touches in general for that team, but I do think Dan Arnold will live slightly in that middle of the ground and then has a little bit of opportunity to get into the red zone. I think he gets 10 points. I'm not saying that he's going to be a week winner, but I do think he outscores Robert Tonyan. I think Robert Tonyan's a bust.
There we go. Well, since you went Arnold, I'm going to go Darnold. Sam Darnold is my quarterback stream of the week. Only owned in 6% of leagues. I think he's going to have a solid revenge game. He's got a healthy CMC, healthy DJ Moore, healthy Robbie Anderson. He's got Terrace Marshall, who's been flashing out like crazy. He's got Darren Arnold, who is top 10 tight end now. No, I'm just kidding. But solid opportunity, great weapons. I think we see a nice show from Sam Darnold. And if you need to stream a quarterback this week 1, then I think he's your guy.
Just going to say this now. Dan Arnold outscored Robert Tonyan 4 times last season.
There we go.
That's all it takes. Just need 1.
Yeah, it's true. Who's your quarterback stream of the week?
My quarterback stream of the week is actually going to be going back to that game. I like to stay in the same games because there's just going to be a lot of fantasy points. But Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be very safe in week 1. I don't think they're going to be doing a lot of crazy. I don't think they're going to be forcing him to throw the ball downfield, putting him in situations where he's going to be putting the ball in a bad position. I think they just play a safe football game. We saw the Jacksonville Jaguars have a pretty basic playbook going into the preseason. And then Houston's defense not being able to stop much. I think he's just going to have a very solid floor for you. So if, you drafted Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield, I think you can throw in Trevor Lawrence for the week and you'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. For my running back, it's going to be Nyheim Hines. He is kind of owned quite high, 68%. But still, that means 32% of leagues he is still available. I think he is going to have a solid workload in the pass catching game, which is going to, if you need to fill, maybe you went 0 RB. If you need to fill in that RB2 spot, I think he's your guy, and he could break something big. He's a playmaker, and especially if you're in any form of PPR league, I think he could make his money there as well. So Nyheim Hines going up against that Seattle team. He's my running back stream of the week.
Ooh. All right. So I'm not sure that I went to the, what was Hines? Would you say his own
68.
Was?
68.
Oh.
It's kind of high. Yeah. Still 32% of leagues.
It's week 1. So realistically, anyone that's got a starting role as a running back or has the opportunity to even see any sort of touches week 1, they've been drafted already. It's not mid-season where you're grabbing people off waivers this far. It's not as many people banged up. So it's hard to find those really solid, actual playable players for week 1 sitting on a waiver.
Unless it's Larry Roundtree. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
And realistically, and I'm only defending myself here because I actually went with someone who's even more highly owned, but still available in 16% of leagues. That's going to be Melvin Gordon. I do think that he is going to be a very strong start week 1 for the Broncos. They will be going up against that Giants defense, which has not been hasn't been amazing in the amount of time that they've had some of the stars that they do, but it also hasn't been the most lackluster. I think he does live on a situation where the Broncos do take an early lead. He gets enough touches to be very solid and at least fills in for a solid flex play week 1. And if he's sitting on a waiver, he's definitely rosterable until he starts losing a share of that backfield.
All right, there you go. I don't know. I do think he'll have a role. So yeah, I would agree. I would agree that he is usable this week for sure. And then let's see, my wide receivers, probably my favorite. This guy I think is going to have a solid few weeks, and I'm honestly quite shocked at how low he is owned percentage wise. And I know that's because there is high hopes for Kyle Pitts, but Russell Gage only owned in 33.6% of leagues. I think we see a strong start to the season for him while Kyle Pitts gets adjusted. One, he's playing the Philadelphia Eagles, who has a trash secondary. I think it's just going to be a high scoring game in general. But I think it's going to take a little bit potentially for Kyle Pitts to get involved. And we saw it last year. Russell Gage had a very, very solid start, especially first week to the season. I think he put up a 20-point game week 1. So I like Russell Gage. Matt Ryan's familiar with him. There isn't going to be any growing pains like you'd see for Kyle Pitts. I think that we see Russell Gage have, a solid target share here in this game. So Russell Gage streaming, I'm actually really comfortable with him this week. Super comfortable. Like, I own him in a ton of leagues, and I'm flexing him. I'm flexing him in like 2, I believe. So I'm comfortable as hell.
I actually like him a lot this week. I think he's going to be a pretty solid, almost weekly flex play. So definitely like him this week against the good matchup. All right. So to finish this up with my receivers, Mike, you're going to keep beating up on the Lions. You're forgetting who's there.
Let's hear it.
The man himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown, a name that everyone that is listening to this show, episode, podcast, anything knows.
Yes.
He's my guy this year. And you'll know him next season. You'll know him by week 2 because week 1, he is going to be an extremely flexible and space-filling receiver that can get you through a week. A great waiver wire addition, currently owned in only 11.9% of leagues. And the number 2 receiver on a team that is not expected to win many games. A defense that's going to be putting up a lot of points and an offense that's going to have to respond. A quarterback who just got shipped over to Detroit, of all places, after being in a Super Bowl just 2 years earlier. Jared Goff is going to be lighting up the field for my man, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 10 touches, 10 targets this week.
Wow.
Okay, no. Realistically, I do think that he has a very, very solid week 1 finish. Slightly hesitant to just throw him in there, unquestionably. But if you are just trying to find someone that can get you through the week on just pure touches and availability and opportunity, Amon-Ra is someone that's going to be seeing it. If he falls into any sort of role that Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods fell into with Jared Goff at quarterback, you are looking for someone that could see up from 10 to 15 targets in a single game, especially if Tyrell Williams leaves the game at any point early. And even though TJ Hawkinson is my must-start tight end, Amon-Ra is still a playable player week 1 in fantasy.
There we go. Love it. Love that take. My tight end, Zach Ertz, only owned in 25.8%. Like you said, John, it's funny because these games that we're talking about are going to be fantasy relevant. The Texans Jags game, the Falcons Eagles game, the San Fran, even, Detroit game. They're going to be fantasy relevant. Even if they're lopsided, there's going to be garbage time in all of them. So Zach Ertz, if you need to stream a tight end, I think he's a solid stream. Just a few years ago, 3 years ago, we were talking about him as a top 5 tight end in the league. Unfortunately,
literally before the start of last season, there was the question if Zach Ertz was getting drafted as a top 5 tight end, and everyone was questioning if Dallas Goedert would have the big role.
There we go. And I do think that Goddard's going to have the bigger role throughout the season, but I do think that going up against this Falcons team, and if you do need a Zach Ertz somebody to fill that tight end spot, Zach Ertz is somebody who can do it, potentially get in the end zone and get 3 or 4 catches, for 50, 60 yards, maybe something like that. Along those lines. So.
No, we saw it already. The Eagles can script both tight ends to stay extremely relevant, especially when the receivers that they keep drafting are just not panning out. Wink, wink, Devonta Smith. But no, especially with Zach Ertz coming in and saying that he wants to retire an Eagle now after being on the trade and asking for a trade throughout the offseason. I think that him and Jalen Hurts must have figured something out, because Zach Ertz is a player that wants to be involved. He's not just someone that's looking to be on a roster. So for him to want to stay there means that he's expecting to get some catches. I think he's actually almost a sleeper tight end on the season at this point, because he's fallen off so hard.
Yeah, I agree. So who's your streamable defense this week?
My streamable defense on the week. If you guys are streaming a defense, it's pretty normal. You're just shooting in the dark. So I'm going for a game that I think is going to be a low point total. So a team that might cause some turnovers, especially against a rookie quarterback. That's actually going to be the Panthers defense. They're actually only owned in 13% of leagues, and 13% of people got it right week 1. I'm just going to say that.
There you go. Mine is the New York Giants, only owned in 6.9 percent of leagues. Going up against Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos offense. Now, yes, it is a pretty powerful offense, and I do think they could score points. However, I do think they can get some turnovers. They've got a pretty good secondary. So I do like the Giants this week as a streamable option. Can get you in that range of 8 to 10 points potentially. And if you get a turnover or two, even a little bit more, maybe a pick 6, baby. Love that. So that is my streaming. If I'm streaming my defense, that's the defense I'm going with. I am actually going with that defense, just so you all know, in multiple leagues, because I don't believe in defense until the last round. Really, I don't believe in defense in the fantasy, community, but whatever. That's neither here nor there right now. So
it's here. It's here.
It is here. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. It is week 1. I am pumped. John is pumped.
We're excited.
We're excited to bring this content to you guys. Make sure that you subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and like this video. We'd love that support, and it helps us put out more content. And we love putting out content for you guys. So yeah, if you guys could do that, that would be really great.
Very quickly, just want to shout out Devin Bishop 7 on Twitter for the follow.
Oh, yes, sir. Shout out Devin Bishop. There we go.
Hopefully you listen, because you just got that shout out for free.
There. Yeah. Yes, you did. We don't do that often. That's because
it just got the notification.
So
all this Larry Roundtree news.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next time. Love you guys.
Bye.